Get out of my swamp, donkey. Donkey.
Shrek! Wow, that was terrible.
What was that, the gingerbread man?
I'm making waffles.
Shrek, I'm making waffles.
Are you recording right now?
It's Eddie Murphy.
Are you recording right now?
Is it recording?
You scared me.
Hello. I didn't see you there.
Whoa.
Because no one's there. Welcome to...
You don't see him.
Who?
The person right there.
Dog, the only one who watches the videos are you.
That's true. Okay. It's me.
Oh, it's you! Oh.
Is it like Inception? I've never watched it.
I was about to say it's like Inception. We should watch Inception. Welcome there to Everything Coptic, which has almost nothing to do with the Coptic language. I recommended this video today to somebody who studies Coptic, and I almost felt bad because they would probably expect it would be everything about Coptic and the grammar and things, but unfortunately it's more about the culture, society, things like this that I think are important. I gotta say, one of the first, and maybe this is something we can talk about for a little bit, but I want to share with you guys. You were asking me earlier, right? What's the goal of this channel? What do I want in the future? And I'll be honest, I was telling you, for me, this is a ministry. It's a service. And I actually do pray about this. That if anyone does come across the videos, they can learn, they could develop a relationship with the Lord. And I want in the future to do videos that talk about practical prayer life. Like I had the video on quiet time. And that was actual advice that from my own life and things that I've read from the Desert Fathers. But another thing I want is to clear the air regarding the Coptic culture. So, what do you guys think is the biggest reason why people leave the Coptic church?
Oof.
Wow. That's a loaded...
That is not loaded.
It's
a tough question.
I was not prepared for that.
Yeah, I did not expect that.
I mean, the obvious things I feel like would be... Obvious things, but I don't think correct things would be... something along the lines of language barriers, which that could be a reason.
Like,
I don't think it's the main reason.
Why do we pray in Coptic? Or
yeah, I mean
Arabic
that.
Even,
Arabic, whichever.
Would that be the biggest reason?
I don't think it's the biggest reason.
Oh, it's a reason. Yeah,
I think it's a reason.
Yeah,
I don't even. It could be in top 10, but I wouldn't put it top 5.
Okay, top
personally.
10. Okay, what else is there?
The mindset.
That would be top 3.
Egyptian.
That would be top
Egyptian
3.
mindset.
So go into that a little bit.
More so the Egyptian culture clashing from the older generation to the newer generation in America.
Okay.
Where the issue isn't necessarily anything about the religion. It's more so how people were raised. The adults in America right now, the Egyptian adults that came from Egypt and had kids here, there's a big clash because the way they were raised is very different from how people are raised here. So that is a...
And how does that manifest then in the church? Why would that cause anyone to want to leave this clash between ideologies?
Because what happens is like certain things that the older generation might not even be the older generation, just like the Egyptian culture itself, people might look at certain things and be like, this is part of the religion, when it's actually just a cultural thing.
So how do I differentiate between something that's in the culture and something that's in the religion? And is there ever a time when those things are too close to call?
I think...
I mean, I feel like it's clear. I don't think there's... Sure, there are times where it could seem to someone who is maybe uneducated in this particular matter
Voice it down a little bit.
that it is too close to call.
Yeah.
But we talked about how there's, uppercase T and lowercase t of tradition, where one is more based around culture.
What does that mean? Just if anyone's watching, they don't know.
Well, uppercase T tradition would be like the foundations of our faith, like the, our beliefs and the Trinity and...
Or like our dogma.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And lowercase t would be more along the lines of our culture, or why things Abuna does during the liturgy.
But just to ask, what about in which tradition would the use of tradition in the book of Acts, and they kept the tradition of the apostles, which definition of tradition would that fall into? Capital T or lowercase t?
The tradition of the apostles?
Yeah.
Well, I'll need more context.
It says in the book of Acts that the early church kept the tradition of the apostles.
I mean, to an extent, I think it would be both. I mean,
Actually, it's the uppercase one.
Yeah, you keep the
You know, it's
faith.
interesting, that word tradition, the Greek word there, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's dogma. So that's correct. That's exactly what you said, though. It was actually, I was trying to build up your point further. It's actually stronger because this tradition is our dogma. So then, I think you explained it really well, and I'll use your language to rephrase the question, and either you can answer it. How do we differentiate then, and this should make it more obvious, the parts of our church we recognize as dogma, and the things that come from that, and things that are rites, and things to preserve such dogma, versus those things that they're in the church, but they don't represent the dogma. They're something that's just there, and are those things necessarily bad?
No.
Not necessarily bad, no.
But how do you differentiate them? Let's start with that question.
Understanding where they come from, I guess. Like having the understanding of like where certain things come from, like why you can't do certain things, like whatever it is, like if you can or can't, or why we do a certain thing as opposed to something else.
But some of the things that we do inside the church.
Yeah.
So like a procession. Or you talk about things like should I date? Should I do this? Should I do that? Which one are you going? Or are you going towards both?
I don't necessarily have one in mind.
A dating.
Sure. Okay, we can yeah.
Okay, so I've heard when I was young, dating is evil. I've heard a lot of things. So dating's evil. Oh, dating is it's not the right time. Oh, well, if you can buy her something, if you can take care of her, then you can date. Oh, well, you don't have your own car. Oh, well, finish your education first. And it's like you're never ready to date until you started dating. It seems like the way I've been taught dating is I don't know when they had the chance to get married. just would introduce them, I guess. So is that anything? And isn't that? In some sort of sense, one of those T's, one of those times of tradition. It's within the church where we understand things, and then when we, when you're in the church and you hear teachings about it, and then so on one hand there's the teachings, on the other hand there's the people, and the other hand, if you have a third hand, there's the stigma. So then, are we able at some point to say, well, that has something to do with the dogma, it has something to do with the people, it has something to do with these other things, and it goes between tradition, capital T, and tradition, lowercase t. And can we ever say, well, these things these aren't part of the church. These things are in the church, but they're not of the church.
Like, so you're asking if certain aspects, so like for the example of dating, are you asking if like there's certain aspects of it that are uppercase and lowercase?
Yeah, to distinguish them in terms of things that are of the church and things that are in the church. So let's ask the easier question, because that was kind of a tough one. Let's underhand toss this. The prepositions of and in. What are they defining? This is of the church, this is in the church.
Well, it just means it's just a part of the church, like because of the people or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Of the church, it means it's coming from the foundation of what the church is built upon, right? So, yeah, that's an easy distinction, right? Between like of and in.
And what is in? So you said of.
In being like people that are say that they are Coptic Orthodox think in this way. That's this stigma or idea is in the church. Doesn't mean that it's correct or whatever. It just means that it's in the church and people in it think this way to a certain degree.
So then is it fair then to go ahead and see, okay, this is something of the church and it bothers me, I want to leave such church, versus this is something in the church, it bothers me, I want to leave such church? And what would the differences be?
Of the church versus in the church?
Yes, regarding my attitude of disliking one and the other.
I mean, in the church doesn't necessarily mean our, faith. Well, you could say of the church, that could be you disagree with something that we believe in, believe in.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So in the church would be, it doesn't necessarily need to be about the church itself, just people of the church maybe.